Many people ask the question, what is the most difficult language to learn? Many languages have been claimed to be the hardest. We've compiled some of those ranked the hardest by the U.S. Department of State. Here are the top 10 most difficult to learn languages. Mandarin Chinese. Many factors make Chinese very difficult to learn. For example, the characters used in the writing system must be memorized. Every word is a different symbol and it's not phonetic, so it gives you no clues as to how it's pronounced. Also, Mandarin is a tonal language, so word meanings change based on tone. Mandarin has 4 tones. Mandarin also has a large number of homophones. For example, the pronunciation is associated with over 30 distinct words. Some people try to learn this language for that specific reason, being difficult and different. Arabic. The first challenge with Arabic is the script. Most of the letters have 4 different forms depending on where they stand in the word. Also, vowels are not included when writing. The sounds are tough, but the words are tougher. An English-speaking student learning a European language will run across many familiar-looking words, but English-speaking Arabic students are not so lucky. The verbs also have multiple forms. For instance, a present tense verb has 13 forms. There are 3 noun cases and 2 genders. Arabic also has many dialects. Toyuka, a language of the eastern Amazon, it has a sound system with simple consonants and a few nasal vowels, so it's not as hard to speak. However, it is complicated. For example, this word means, I do not know how to write. There are estimated to be between 50 and 140 noun classes for gender, the main language and sister tongues. It also requires a verb ending that explains how you know what you're saying. For instance, this phrase would mean, the boy played soccer. I know because I saw him. Evidential languages force speakers to think hard about how they learned what they say they know. Hungarian. Hungarian has 35 cases or noun forms. That fact alone makes it a candidate in this list. Hungarian is full of very expressive, idiomatic words and suffixes. The high number of vowels and their deep in the throat sound makes it very hard to speak as well. It takes more effort to learn it and maintain what you learn than most other languages. Japanese. One reason Japanese is so hard is that the written code is different from the spoken code. Therefore, you can't learn to speak the language by learning to read it, and vice versa. There are also 3 different writing systems to master. The kanji system uses characters borrowed from Chinese. Students need to learn 2,000 to 3,000 of these characters through memorization. There are no mnemonic devices to help. Written Japanese also makes use of 2 syllabary systems, katakana for loan words and emphasis, and hiragana for spelling, suffixes, and grammatical particles. The State Department allows its students 3 times as long to learn Japanese as it does languages like Spanish or French. Navajo. This fascinating language can be very difficult as well. During World War II, the language was used as a code in the Pacific War by bilingual Navajo code talkers to send secure military messages over radio. This had the advantage of being an extremely fast method of encrypted communication. The code was never broken by the Japanese, who were mystified by the sounds they intercepted. Navajo was not chosen as a code language only because it is very hard, but also because there were no published grammars or dictionaries of the language, and because Navajo speakers were readily available. Nearly everything a language must do is done differently by Navajo than by English. Estonian. This language makes the list too. Estonian has a very rigid case system. Case is a grammatical system under which words inflect based on their grammatical function in a sentence. There are 12 cases in Estonian, more than 2 times the number of cases that exist in most Slavic languages. It also has many exceptions to grammar rules, and many words mean several different things. Basque. Basque is also up on top based on a study by the British Foreign Office. The Basque language has 24 cases. It is impossible to link Basque with any Indo-European language. Basque is probably the oldest known spoken language in Europe. Basque uses suffixes, prefixes, and infixes, so new words are frequently formed by adding a common tag onto the end, the beginning, or the middle of a simpler word. Basque is synthetic rather than analytic. In other words, Basque uses case endings to denote relationships between words. Basque doesn't just change the end of the verb, it changes the beginning too. In addition to the Indo-European language moods, Basque also has a few more moods. For example, the potential. And finally, Basque has a complex system of denoting subject, direct object, and indirect objects, all of which are crammed into the verb itself. Polish. This language has 7 cases, and Polish grammar has more exceptions than rules. German, for example, has 4 cases, all of which are logical. Polish cases, however, seem to need more time and effort to learn the logical pattern or rules. You might have to learn the entire language first. Icelandic. Icelandic is a very hard language to learn because of its archaic vocabulary and complex grammar. Icelandic kept all the old noun declension and verb conjugations. Many Icelandic phonemes don't have exact English equivalents. The only way you can learn them is by listening to recordings or to native speakers. So now that you've heard the top 10, here's what you need to know. The more different a language is from your own, the harder it might seem to you to learn it. For example, a Persian speaker might find Arabic easier to learn than Spanish, even though Arabic is considered to be a hard language to learn. One more element should be considered in deciding which language is the most difficult: whether a language follows a logical pattern in its grammar. For example, in English, there's a general rule for creating plurals, adding s or es. In Arabic, on the other hand, the plural is irregular most of the time, and non-native students spend much of their time learning how to use it. Finally, one thing is certain: no matter how hard a language is, you really need 3 things to learn it: adequate and appropriate learning resources, understanding the way you learn, and passion to learn. Without the right tools such as videos, audio lessons, grammar, and vocabulary resources, plus a chance to speak with native speakers, it will be hard for you to learn it. If you are trying to learn a language, check out all our resources, including videos, websites, and apps. Which language do you think is the hardest? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoy our videos, please click like, subscribe, and share.